Today, we bring a story of a cheating wife who gets caught after exposing herself, and how her husband quickly puts her where she belongs, and yes, he did not spare the AP and dealt with him like a man. I'm a 34-year-old male, and I've been married to my wife Linda, a 36-year-old homemaker, for 5 years. Recently, I was on a work trip and decided to surprise Linda by coming home early on a Sunday night instead of Monday afternoon. As I was driving home, I received a shocking text from Linda. She expressed how much she enjoyed the week and mentioned doing it again the next time her husband, meaning me, travels for work. She went on to say she missed waking up to someone else and how much she'd miss having sex every day. I couldn't believe what I was reading, so I pulled over into a parking lot to reread the message. After confirming it wasn't a hallucination, I replied with a simple, "Get a lawyer." Due to our prenup, I assumed she would be okay with one lawyer mediating our divorce. I threw my phone on the seat and continued home, ignoring her attempts to call and text. When I arrived home, she was on the phone with a male voice, and I overheard her explaining the situation. Unbeknownst to her, I walked in and casually said, "Honey, I'm home." The look on her face was priceless. She dropped her phone in horror, and I asked, "Are you talking to the lawyer?" Ignoring her pleas that it was all a joke, I went to the bedroom, stripped the linen off the bed, and started packing it into black plastic bags. Linda was in tears, insisting it was a prank, but I didn't buy it. The betrayal was too much to bear, and I needed to take steps to move forward. In the end, I needed 2 bags because the comforter wouldn't fit with the sheets and blanket. I just ignored her, walked out to my car, and threw the 2 bags into the trunk. I was assuming those were the linens that she used to be with the guy over the last week, so there was most likely evidence of sex in case I needed it for proof. I didn't need it, and I don't think Linda made the connection. When I got back into the house, Linda threw herself at me, begging me to talk to her. She kept saying that it was a joke. I told her it was a very bad one, and then told her I would talk to her when we consult a lawyer and not before. I then told her you have one chance to come clean. I have the bed sheets sent to a lab for fluid stains, so the truth will come out and I will wreck you in court. She did not say a lot, just nodded in a yes. "Who is he?" I screamed. It was Richard. I was shocked. "He is my friend." Was my friend. The room fell silent. I broke the silence and asked her if she had a place to stay, and she looked at me confused. I told her, "You will not be staying in my house. Pack your bags and go stay with your parents. You won't be living here again. I'll have your personal belongings packed and delivered to you." She dropped to the ground, just bawling, saying the no, no, no chant, and that she loved me and it didn't mean anything, etc. I had to force the issue with her by telling her she could do the packing and leave, or I could drag her and her crap out into the yard. This was my family's house before we got married, passed to me when my parents decided to move to a condo in a warm weather locale. My parents still owned it, but I would inherit it when they passed. Linda had no rights to the house. Just to make sure I was within my rights, I called my dad and gave him a rundown of what had happened. After all, he was done swearing. He asked how to help. I told him I needed him to text my wife, he has her number, and tell her that she was to vacate the home. Of course, she could probably have dug in and made us go through an eviction, but that wouldn't have been smart for her, and she knew it. Linda packed her bags and went into the garage. She started digging around for the key to her car and couldn't find it because I had taken it from her purse while packing. The problem with Linda is that she's lazy. When we went car shopping, she never wanted to go through the hassle of sitting with me to do the actual paperwork. That meant both of our cars were in my name. Considering the cheating, I didn't feel the need to allow her to take one of them. To top it off, both car payments were coming from my personal bank account. So, I told her to her face that both cars were in my name, and she could call her parents or get an Uber. She was still freaking out and started yelling at me for being mean. I got right down into her face with mine, and with my voice shaking, I told her that she didn't want to push her luck with me. She backed off, and I held out my hand, saying, "Phone." She looked even more shocked and said no. I asked her who purchased the phone because I knew I could prove I did. It was on my credit card. I told her she could have the old phone in the drawer and get her own line since I was, yet again, the only one on the T-Mobile contract. She reluctantly handed over the phone and got the old one out of the drawer. I would later find all kinds of info regarding the affair because, as I said, Linda is lazy and always uses one of 3 passwords. In this case, it was the 4 digits of her birth year. I escorted her out and stood there blocking the door until her mom and dad showed up. When they got out of the car, Linda was in tears again and ran to her mom. Her dad walked up to me with a stern face and asked what was going on. I pulled out my phone and showed him the text message she sent me. His face was ashen after reading it, and he nodded, saying he was sorry. They left, and once Linda's stuff was loaded, that was the last time I spoke to my now ex-wife. It wasn't until later that week that we met at the lawyer's office for mediation. This was my second marriage, and after the nightmare of the first one, I had told Linda early on when we were dating that I'd never marry again without having a prenup. She seemed non-committal but didn't object since it was fair. We simply divided bank assets evenly, and each person would be responsible for their own credit cards and debt in their name. We had no shared cards, and I had the bulk of the debt on mine since Linda only used hers for going out with friends and Starbucks, etc. The prenup also stated that there would be no alimony or access to the other's retirement for any reason in case of a divorce. I'm simplifying this, as the document itself was multiple pages. The lawyer we hired as a mediator took into account all of our purchased assets and weighed them. The prenup meant Linda ended up with exactly half of our banking funds, including savings. She got to keep anything purchased on her credit card, but that wasn't much, as all major purchases were done on my card, including most of her jewelry. I didn't contest her keeping that because I wouldn't know what to do with it. I also allowed her to keep any furniture she wanted. Every time Linda tried to talk to me, I shut her down. There was no coming back from this. She didn't cheat once as a lapse in judgment. She was having a full-blown affair. I was lucky that Linda had too much scar tissue in her uterus to bring a child to term, so we never had kids. The doctor said this could have been from an abortion she had in high school. She had quite a few miscarriages over the first couple of years, but we stopped trying because of the mental train wreck that caused. Our divorce was quick and without any drama due to the prenup and the mediator. It took 6 months, with most of that time being part of a mandatory waiting period. I am by no means a Hollywood heartthrob, but I'm in reasonable shape since I'm still in my 30s and eat well. My wife was pretty in the face, but she was going soft due to her laziness. Although she was soft, I found that attractive, and apparently, her affair partner did too. So, I'm sure she'll be able to find someone else. I never heard of what happened to the affair partner or any real info on him. Linda said they stopped seeing each other because he had heard her screaming about how it was a mistake and how much she loved me after she dropped the phone. I'm guessing that she was telling him something different, and he opted out. Did I forgive Richard? No. Once my divorce was over, I met him at his home. I told him that I have divorced the 304 that you were screwing. It's time for you to have what is coming for you. I told him that it was one thing that my wife cheated on me, but a friend stabbing you in the back is not something I'll let go easily. I had 6 months to be ready for this confrontation. I have lost love before and did not do anything. This time I was prepared for this. He was screaming at me that I broke his relationship with Linda, tried to lunge at me. I cracked him with a punch to his nose. I got on top of him and kept hitting him. My tears flew down with every punch I threw. Months of frustration and anger, I let it all flow through me. I kept beating him till he did not lose consciousness. I sat beside his limp body for a few minutes and then called 911. The paramedics arrived and took him to the hospital. I was arrested and was taken to the police station. To my surprise, in the evening I was let go. Apparently, Richard had not filed any charges against me. I got a message the next day from Richard. It just said, "We are even." That's my story. At the end of the day, I probably sounded like I didn't care or love Linda, but I did. It hurt me a lot to go through this, but unfortunately, I had walked the divorce road in my early 20s, strike two, I guess. Not planning to get a third one anytime soon. Wishing all of you living with this crap the best. Remember to call your prenup an equitable marriage contract since it doesn't have the same stigma. The lawyer said they are way more common now than people think. Now for the second story. My wife cheated with the arcade mascot at our son's birthday party. You never truly appreciate the word normalcy until life throws you into the deep end of absurdity, as I learned on that fateful day. Even a child's pirate-themed birthday party can serve as the stage for such oddities. It was the day I saw my wife, Jennifer, a woman I believed to be my soulmate, in the unfaithful embrace of a pirate mascot at our son's birthday party. Our son David was absolutely enamored with the local pirate-themed arcade, Pirates Plunder, and he had only one request for his 6th birthday, a Pirates Plunder party. Jennifer and I were more than happy to oblige. The venue was fantastic, with a sprawling arcade floor, themed party rooms, and 2 mascots, a pirate named Captain Cutlass and a friendly shark named Scallywag. They were hits among the kids, especially David. The day of the party was bright, sunny, and filled with anticipation. Jennifer had really gone all out, making sure everything was ship-shaped. Pirate-themed invitations, skull and crossbones balloons, even a treasure chest cake. The children were thrilled, laughter and merriment filling the air as kids ran around, earning tickets and competing for the highest scores on the arcade machines. David was having the time of his life, and Jennifer seemed to be in high spirits too. Her eyes sparkled as she watched our son enjoying himself, her laughter mingling with the children's. The moment should have been perfect until I noticed something odd. Captain Cutlass, in all his oversized, overstuffed glory, was paying more attention to Jennifer than the kids. She was laughing at his jokes, posing for pictures, and even partaking in some playful banter. I shrugged it off initially, attributing it to the festivities' infectious energy. But as time passed, their interactions seemed less innocent. I tried to brush it off, telling myself I was imagining things, until I saw them sneak off into a door labeled, "Employees Only." My heart pounded in my chest as I quietly made my way towards the door, careful not to attract any attention. With a deep breath, I pushed the door open only to find Jennifer and Captain Cutlass in a passionate embrace. A rush of shock, anger, and disbelief washed over me. The image was forever imprinted in my mind, Jennifer in the arms of the pirate mascot. I roared, charging at Captain Cutlass. My fist connected with the mascot's oversized padded head, knocking him into a stack of cardboard boxes. My wife, Jennifer, gasped, her face turning pale as she realized she'd been caught. "Chris," she started, but I was in no mood to listen. I grabbed her arm and practically dragged her out of the back room, ignoring her pleas for me to calm down. I was seeing red, my heart pounding a ferocious rhythm in my chest. Re-entering the party, we plastered fake smiles on our faces, refusing to let our personal drama overshadow our son's big day. We cut the cake, sang, and laughed, but it was all a bitter performance. Once the party ended and we'd packed everything into the car, the silence was deafening. We didn't speak until we were back home, David tucked into bed with his face smeared with the remnants of his birthday cake. Jennifer tried to explain, to justify, but her words fell on deaf ears. I felt a cold fury burning inside me. Every word she spoke was a reminder of her betrayal. "It was a stupid mistake," she said, tears streaming down her face. "A mistake, Jennifer? You don't just accidentally cheat on your husband with a goddamn pirate mascot," I snapped. My voice echoed through the silent house, mirroring the hollow ache in my chest. I don't know what I was thinking. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her eyes pleading for forgiveness. I wanted to believe her, to take her in my arms and forget everything, but the image of her with Captain Cutlass kept replaying in my mind. "Sorry doesn't cut it, Jennifer," I said, my voice flat. "You broke us. You broke our family." "I messed up, Chris," she sobbed. "I know I messed up. Please, let's talk about this for David." But I was past the point of discussion. The woman I loved, the mother of my son, had betrayed our marriage, our family. I didn't trust myself to make any decisions in the heat of the moment, but one thing was clear, I needed space. "We'll talk tomorrow, Jennifer," I said, a sense of finality in my voice. "Tonight, I'm sleeping in the guest room." Jennifer nodded, tears still streaming down her face. I left her in the living room, her sobs echoing behind me, a haunting reminder of the day's events. That night, as I lay in the guest bed, my mind turned into a whirlpool of confusion and anger. Sleep was a distant dream. I replayed the day's events over and over, the sight of Jennifer in the mascot's arms, the feeling of betrayal. I knew what I needed to do, though it pained me to even think it. The next morning, I found Jennifer in the kitchen, her eyes red and puffy from crying. David was still asleep, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing between his parents. The air was thick with tension as I took a deep breath and said the words I never thought I'd utter. "Jennifer, I want a divorce." The words hung in the air like a guillotine, heavy and irreversible. Jennifer's eyes widened, and for a moment, all was silent. Then a sob broke the silence, a mournful sound that echoed the breaking of our once happy home. Life, as it seems, is full of surprises, and sometimes those surprises come in the form of pirate mascots at a child's birthday party. As I embarked on this new uncharted course, I couldn't help but think of the innocence and joy that had kicked off the day before. A child's birthday party turned into the catalyst for a life-altering revelation. But as I grieved the loss of my marriage, I knew this was just the beginning of a long journey, a journey of healing, of rediscovering myself, and, most importantly, ensuring that my son David remained unscathed in this unfortunate crossfire. Let us know about your thoughts in the comments section.
Dear listener, if you have reached this far, please click on the subscribe button. It will be a great help.